Vitamin K2. What's true and what's false? What do scientific studies say about vitamin K2? Is it really necessary to take vitamin K2 if you're going to take vitamin D? Because vitamin K2 would be like the GPS for calcium. If you don't take vitamin K2, you're at risk. Because that calcium could end up in your blood vessels, calcifying your blood vessels, calcifying your arteries, calcifying your heart valves. Is that really true? This topic is very controversial and gets talked about a lot here on the internet. And today, you're going to find out the truth. Well, I was on my way to the gym. I'm about to work out. I do weight training. I just got back from the hospital. I was getting ready for my physical training. And yesterday I posted a video about vitamin D, the dangers of vitamin D. I don't know if you saw that video. I'll leave the recommendation later. But a lot of you commented. There were many comments about vitamin K2. That's why I'm recording today, to answer this and clear up everything about vitamin K2. So, a lot of people said that vitamin K2 should be used together with vitamin D, because otherwise you'd be at risk. It'd be very dangerous, because vitamin D would increase calcium absorption. And as a result, that essential calcium would unfortunately end up depositing directly in the walls of the arteries and within the delicate blood vessels, rather than being properly utilized for the strengthening of the bones. So, what now? Is that true or is it a myth? Where did this idea come from? Let's clear everything up then, based on science. Just to be clear, this isn't my opinion. It's not what I think about vitamin K2. It's actually what the leading organizations in the world, the American Endocrine Society and also the European Society of Endocrinology, say about this. What have they published about this? What are the scientific studies? Which ones say this or which ones don't? Those that say vitamin K2 doesn't work. So let's explain. And first, where did all of this come from? Well, a few years ago, around 10 or 15 years ago, I was involved in this transformation in these hypotheses that started to appear. 15 years ago, doctors, endocrinologists talked about vitamin K2, and there was a hypothesis, there was a possibility, that if you used vitamin D together with vitamin K2, it would be a protective factor for your heart, your circulation, and also for your bones. Because vitamin K2 would help calcium go to the right place. Right. That was a hypothesis that was being raised. So many studies were done, including 2 large studies that analyzed what happened with people who only took vitamin D and with another group who took vitamin D together with vitamin K2. So did these people who took vitamin K2, the calcium GPS, would they have fewer fractures? In other words, would they break their bones less often? Which is a very important outcome. We know that a femur fracture, for example, increases mortality. Look how important this is, reducing fractures. And another possibility was, and what about the people who were taking vitamin D and the other group who was taking vitamin D together with K2? What could happen to their hearts? Would people who use the calcium GPS, vitamin K2, have less calcification in their heart valves? What do you think? So this was something that used to be talked about in discussions. I remember when I was still in medical training, this was many years ago, but at the time, this was discussed. And the answer, according to scientific articles, and also the medical societies that have already spoken about vitamin K2, what is the answer? It was that vitamin K2 didn't change the outcome. Look, people who used vitamin K2 did not have a lower rate of fractures. In other words, for fractures, it doesn't work, okay? Taking vitamin K2 is not to protect your bones. That hypothesis, do you remember I said it was a hypothesis? It was not confirmed. And now, regarding the heart, the blood vessels, did people who took vitamin K2 avoid the problem of calcifying their blood vessels? Because the calcium would know where it should go? And the answer is no, it didn't change. The outcome didn't change either. There was a study that analyzed echocardiograms and several other heart tests. And this study concluded that no, vitamin K2 did not protect the heart. It did not protect circulation. So medical societies do not recommend it, nor does any serious protocol. Later I'll tell you where this idea came from. Part of the story you already know, but there's more to it. I'll tell you that part too. Medical societies, like the American Society of Endocrinology, in their bone metabolism and osteoporosis protocols, do not recommend vitamin K2, nor do they recommend it for anything else. And the European Society for Bone Metabolism, Osteoporosis, and also Endocrinology also does not recommend vitamin K2. You won't find this in any serious medical protocol. So this claim that everyone needs to take vitamin K2 with vitamin D is false. This is a myth from the internet, from doctors and influencers who aren't specialists in endocrinology, and from doctors who are laymen. What is a lay doctor? A lay doctor is a doctor who doesn't understand scientific methodology. So many times they'll analyze a very small study, sometimes even just a case report. And in this study, which doesn't prove anything, he ends up drawing conclusions in an arbitrary way. He records videos and speaks really well, even on the internet. I can't deny that. Many of them have incredible communication skills, but they don't have scientific training. So they're lay people when it comes to scientific studies and end up spreading information incorrectly. And what do a lot of people say? Oh, it was a huge mistake for you not to talk about the importance of vitamin K2, because Dr. So-and-so, Dr. whoever, they talk about it. But this information doesn't have any scientific validity, okay? What does have scientific validity is that there is no benefit routinely supplementing with vitamin K2. On the contrary, there are even some risks. It can interfere with anticoagulants, like warfarin, for example. So you have to be careful. Besides not changing or reducing the issue of blood vessel calcification and not reducing fractures, there's still this risk, okay? And that's one issue, all right? Another point that people brought up a lot is that the pharmaceutical industry is really evil. And they want to hide this about vitamin K2, which also isn't true. There is no conspiracy to keep you from knowing about vitamin K2. What we know is that it really doesn't work. The studies up to now haven't shown that. If anything, it would be the opposite. What we actually see are doctors recommending the use of a vitamin that could be harmful to your health, and you'll be spending your money. You get it. It's actually the opposite. It's the industry on the other side, pushing supplements and talking about medications, substances that have no scientific evidence and can cause serious harm to your health. So, that was the video, just to explain things, right? About the comments, just to remind you, I have no connection with the pharmaceutical industry. None at all. I don't get money from labs. All my content here on the channel is based on science. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to keep supporting this project every time. So I can keep making more videos about this, really explaining the scientific truth about various topics. And I'll leave a recommendation here for you to watch, the video where I talked about vitamin D. What are the reference values for vitamin D? Do you really need to have levels above 100 or 80? Or above 60? You've heard a lot about this. What are the dangers of vitamin D? You want to know how to protect yourself, things you shouldn't do when using vitamin D? Then click here and you'll be taken to that video. There I also tell the truth about vitamin D. Take care. See you next time.